Today, I want to share with you some critical freight broker startup tips for 2024 and beyond. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run through these really quick. Here is the cheat sheet. If you stick around to the end, you will get a link to download the free cheat sheet. There's a lot of great tips on here, but I can promise you that number 7 on this list is by far the most important. So you want to stick around to the end. Please don't miss that. You'll be missing the boat for sure. All right. So number 1 on the list is find your niche. If you followed me for any amount of time, you've heard me harp on this topic. As a startup, it's very important that you niche down. Riches are in niches. You need to niche down. So it's very important that you understand the concepts of how to niche down. Tell you a quick story when I first started. When I first started as a freight broker back in 2003, we had developed a niche which was northeast outbound van freight. So if it originated in New York or PA or New Jersey, all the way up through New England, and it was loading on a van, a full truckload, like a 53-foot van, then that was our niche. We were focusing in on product that could go in a van and was leaving the Northeast. Either it was going west or south. That was our niche. We were fortunate. We did over $1 million in sales our first year. Then we did 3.6 million. Then we did 6 million. Then we did 12 million. Then we did 18 million. And eventually, by the time I sold the company, we were doing over $80 million a year in sales. And we had expanded into a lot of niches, but it was critical that we started with a niche, okay? Trying to serve everybody, trying to be everything to everybody, trying to boil the ocean is a very difficult task, okay? So you need to find your niche. I've got an actual link here where you guys can check out a training, a free training. Just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/niche, okay? If you go to that, it's going to bring you to a page with a detailed training and breakdown of exactly how you can identify your niche, including a video and even a free download, okay? So check that out. That's number 1 on the list. Find your niche, all right? Number 2, keep your expenses down. Don't go out and spend money on the most fancy CRM or the most fancy TMS or the fanciest and most expensive tracking system. Keep your expenses low, all right? You've got to control your cash flow. Understand that every dollar that you spend is like oxygen to your business. So you have to be frugal, keep your expenses very low. You don't need the absolute utmost of technology when you first start. Get started with what you have, get started with what you can afford. And then as you start generating cash flow, you can reinvest some of that cash flow into your business. You can invest it into updating that technology. You can invest it into better technology and better systems, better websites, better everything. But start by controlling your finances, right? Keep expenses down. Very, very important, okay? Number 3 on the list, start building your online presence. Now, what do I mean by that? There are 2 very important places where I need you as a freight broker startup to focus. One is your website. You absolutely, positively have to have a website. Now, that website doesn't have to be a $5,000 website. That website, you could get started for probably a few $100s, okay? But the reality is you have to understand is that you have to have a website so that Google can index you. And why do you want that? Not because people are going to be searching for your company and it's going to lead to tons of leads, but what's going to happen is when you start doing outbound sales outreach and sales efforts and having conversations with prospects and emailing prospects and connecting with people on LinkedIn, what's going to happen is they're going to go to Google and they're going to search for you and your company name. And if you don't exist on Google, it's like you don't exist in the universe. And therefore, it's going to send off a huge red flag. And unfortunately, that's probably going to stand in your way with doing business with not only shippers, but also carriers. Okay, that's part 1. Part 2, you have to set up a free LinkedIn account. You don't need to have Sales Navigator. You don't need to have any of these paid subscriptions. Set up a free LinkedIn account. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional networking site. It has tons of opportunities. It's a high quality lead source. There's tons of shippers that you can find, connect, and engage with. So LinkedIn is a very important component of building your online presence because they're going to search 2 places. First, they're going to search Google. Second, they're going to search LinkedIn. And if you and your company don't exist, again, it's going to throw off a huge red flag, okay? So that's number 3. Number 4 on the list, focus on HVA versus LVA. Now, what does HVA stand for? What does LVA stand for? Well, let's start with LVA. LVA is low value activities. Now you can imagine what HVA is, right? High value activities. As a startup, you have to critically prioritize your time and focus on high value activities versus low value activities. What are some low value activities? Well, surfing YouTube, surfing Instagram, surfing TikTok, surfing Google, spending all of this time surfing online, right? Those are typically low value activities because they're not directly attributed to driving revenue, building relationships, and growing your business. High value activities are examples are investing in a mentorship, investing in training, learning how to sell, right? Learning the fundamentals of how to set up your freight brokerage. So learning a little bit about how to get your business up and running and getting customers. Number two, prospecting. Again, learning how to prospect, learning how to get shippers, learning how to get your prospects' attention, how to cold call, how to cold email, how to get shippers with LinkedIn, things of that nature, right? So those are high value activities. And another one would be sourcing carriers, right? Sourcing carrier partners that are actually going to be hauling the freight for you. So those are examples of low value versus high value activities. All right. So that's number 4. Number 5, focus on relationships over transactions. If you know anything about me, that is a mantra that I've been saying for many, many, many years. Why? Because unfortunately, most freight brokers and freight agents are very transactional. What do I mean by that? It all comes down when they're dealing with their shippers and their carriers. It's all, what have you done for me lately? If they're talking to a shipper, hey, do you got any loads to move? If you're talking to a carrier, hey, do you have any trucks in my area? It's very transactional. It's not relationship driven, and people can see through it, right? If you live by transactions, you'll die by transactions. If you focus on relationships, they will survive any good or bad transaction, but you got to focus on relationships. If you do that, it will differentiate you from the crowd because, again, the entire industry is very transactional. Now, there are some good brokers out there. Don't get me wrong. There's some good agents out there, but they're in the minority as it relates to this strategy, relationships over transactions. All right. So that's number 5. Number 6, leverage your existing connections. All right. So as a brand new freight broker, brand new agent, you're in startup mode. Maybe you haven't even started yet. Maybe you've just started in the last 6 months. Here's one of the things that you need to do. You need to tap into your network. So if you're a truck driver, for example, let's not forget about all the shippers that you've picked up from, all the places you've delivered to, all the people you've met on the docks, all the carriers you worked with, all of the different people in that industry that you've connected with, that you know, that you've built some trust with. Let's not forget about those people. Those people can be critically important to helping you get not only your shippers, but carriers that will actually allow you to move your freight. So don't forget your existing network. You have to tap into that existing network, okay? And the second part is for non-drivers, you need to tap into your network as well. Let me tell you a quick story. You may or may not have heard this story. When I first started as a freight broker, I had no experience in logistics or trucking or transportation, and I was never a driver, obviously. So what happened was I had a close friend that I had known for years who I had talked about that I had started this logistics company, and I had asked him if he knew anybody in logistics or shipping, and he happened to be good friends with a guy who was a vice president in a recycling company. He ended up providing the introduction, and that introduction led to over $100,000 in sales our first year, and I probably over $1 million in actual sales that was generated over the lifetime of that customer, as well as other customers that vice president had relationships with. So it turned out to be a very fruitful relationship. And it all started by telling my friend that I was starting a logistics company and asking if he knew somebody. Again, he had no control over the freight. He had no experience in trucking or logistics. He didn't even know what it was all about, but he did know that he had a good buddy that was in the recycling industry. He provided the introduction and off we went. Okay, so that's another example, right? And number 7, the tip you really need to hang on tight for, and the one that is probably going to pay the biggest dividends for you in the long term, because I know it did for me, is you need to find a mentor, okay? find a mentor. When I first got started in business, I had lots of mentors in sales and entrepreneurship. I had lots of mentors when I started my freight brokerage. I even hired a guy who had 20 plus years of experience as a broker, paid over $10,000, flew him in for a week to kind of poke holes in my business plan and let me pick his brain. And along the way, I've had many, many mentors. And I've been blessed since then to become a mentor for many, many people. I've had over 10,000 students go through my Freight Broker Bootcamp program. Been blessed to do that. Many of them have went on to build 6 and 7 figures. And the reason why I say find a mentor is because obviously you're going to have questions along the way. You're going to have struggles along the way. You're going to have issues along the way. It's one of the primary reasons why I do these Freight Broker Bootcamp lives every Monday for free. So here's the thing, but the key to finding a mentor is this. You need to find a mentor who's already done what you're looking to do. So if you're looking to build a 7-figure freight brokerage, find a mentor who's already done it. If you're looking to build an 8-figure freight brokerage, find a mentor who's already done it. If you're looking to become an expert in sales and how to get shippers, find a mentor who's already done it, right? So the reality is no matter what you do, if you find a mentor, it's going to compress time and it's going to increase the odds of your success as long as they've already done what you're looking to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Listen, if you guys want the cheat sheet, here's all you got to do. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/startup tips. Okay. That will give you the free cheat sheet. This is the download that I just went through with you guys. You can get not only the list of things, but you'll get links to different resources, links to different trainings, and it'll obviously be extremely valuable because you didn't have to write all these things down. So appreciate you guys being here. Listen, if you're curious about becoming a freight broker, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, we've trained over 10,000 students, had that program since 2009. And we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. So download the free cheat sheet. And if you're interested, get signed up for freightbrokerbootcamp.com. You get instant access to the entire program. And again, we offer a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee.